Today we're going to be talking about Mario Kart's lost characters. Now these are characters that made an appearance in the game at one point, but were never brought back for one reason or another. Before I start this video though, I want to mention that I won't be going over any of the Mario Kart Tour characters, because if I did, then this would make this whole video kind of redundant. I mean, most of these guys did appear in Mario Kart Tour. I just don't think it's a good enough game to represent that they came back, you know? One more thing too before we start this video. Apparently some of you are using DuckDuckGo to watch my videos, and I think that's pretty funny. I've never heard of that. Let's get started. So the first game we have to talk about is Super Mario Kart for the SNES. Now this game started off with a roster of just 8 characters. Mario and Luigi, Peach and Yoshi, Koopa and Toad, Bowser, and Donkey Kong Jr. Now Donkey Kong Jr. was a very strange addition to the game, and had not really made that much of an impact as much as Donkey Kong had, so why would they include Donkey Kong Jr. instead of Donkey Kong? Maybe they had bigger plans for Donkey Kong Jr., but as time went on it really didn't seem like that was the case. And Super Mario Kart would be one of the last times we ever saw Donkey Kong Jr. So when they moved on to the next game, they replaced Donkey Kong Jr.'s spot with Donkey Kong. Now the N64 also only had 8 characters. The only change they made was switching DK Jr. to DK. They also did swap out Koopa Troop for Wario, so I guess there was a little change in that department as well. Luckily Koopa Troop has been brought back in quite a few games, so he's definitely not one of the lost characters. Next we move on to the GBA Super Mario Kart. This one kept the exact same roster as the N64, except it played like the SNES. Granted, there isn't as much processing power when it came to the early handhelds, so I understand why they had to go for more of an SNES type style, even though it came out after the N64. But this game stayed true to the staple characters and hadn't produced any lost characters in this release. Next we move on to Double Dash. Double Dash expanded the roster quite a bit, more than doubling the amount of playable characters, bringing many new characters including Toad, Diddy Kong, and notably Piranha Plant. And for a while we did lose Piranha Plant, but just recently he was added as a DLC to Mario Kart Deluxe. But one character we seem to have lost for good is Paratroopa. He made a good match for Koopa, but didn't fit in any other of the Mario Kart games. It made sense not to carry him on to the next title because we already have Koopa Troopa, and Mario Kart Double Dash was the last time Mario Karts had ever used pairing mechanics. So goodbye, possibly forever, to the Paratroopa in Mario Kart. After Double Dash, we move on to the DS, which got rid of a lot of the characters and also slots, taking the total down from 20 characters from Double Dash to only 12 in DS. A loss of 8 character slots. However, they did gain a new character which we hadn't seen since 1985. Rob the Robot made his return debut. This character specifically was a strange addition to say the least. He didn't really end up fitting well in the Mario cast of characters and never made it back into another Mario Kart game after the fact. He's still prevalent in Smash Bros to this day, but never really saw the light of Mario Kart fame ever again after his DS appearance. There was never any tracks made after him, the karts that were made after him weren't that impressive, and there was just really no relevance of the character anymore. I personally like playing as Rob, but I can definitely understand why he didn't make it into the other games. Next, we move on to my favorite game in the Mario Kart series, Mario Kart Wii. The Wii version brought back the missing character slots and raised the total amount of drivers back to 26, more than doubling the DS roster. And this game produced one of the most staple rosters I've ever seen in a Mario Kart game. We did almost lose Diddy Kong and Funky Kong for a while in between the Mario Kart Wii to Deluxe era. They didn't appear in 3DS or the original Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, but luckily just recently, in the same DLC that resurrected Piranha Plant, we got Diddy Kong and Funky Kong back in Mario Kart, as they should have been, which technically means that the only lost character from Mario Kart Wii is the Mii with the costume. That being said, Miis do reappear in following games, and they do technically have different costumes, but not exactly like they were in Mario Kart Wii. Then again, I don't really consider this a lost character because Miis are still pretty prevalent in Mario Kart today. Moving on to 3DS, we seem to lose a lot of slots again, bringing the total down from 26 to 12 again. Probably due to the handheld's limited storage though, and I mean, I understand that there's not a lot of room for extra characters when you're talking about handhelds, right? But we did see quite a few new characters in this game, from Shy Guy to Metal Mario to Wiggler, who actually did get brought back again in Deluxe as well, just avoiding being a lost character forever. And one character who I'm sure we probably will never see again, and that is the Honey Queen. When I originally unlocked her, I was pretty confused as to why she was selected in favor of other possible candidates, and I'm sure a lot of people agreed with me on that, because Nintendo ended up taking her out of any future releases. On a technicality, she did fit into the Mario character cast, having a very similar vibe and feel to her, but the fact that she'd only really appeared in a few games beforehand really didn't make sense as to why she would be brought back into the 3DS. I mean, Galaxy was released on the Wii, so it would have made a little bit more sense to put her on the Wii version, right? I mean, Mario Galaxy even came out before Mario Kart Wii, so they definitely had a little bit of time to squeeze her in if they really wanted to. So to have her on 3DS just really didn't make a lot of sense to me. Again, it's an interesting character to have in the roster, but not one that needs to be a staple of the series. Up next, we move on to Mario Kart 8. Now, obviously Mario Kart 8 got expanded into Mario Kart Deluxe and basically has the exact same roster in both games, only improving the amount of characters in the Deluxe, so to say that any of them are lost characters would not be correct, but I can do some speculating. If I had to guess, in the upcoming game, which characters could face the reality of becoming lost characters, I'd have to go with Pink Gold Peach, Lakitu, Baby Rosalina, and even the Koopa Kids. I say the Koopa Kids because a lot of people upon the release of the game were not too thrilled with the idea of 7 of the character slots being taken up by clones of Bowser Jr., right? I wasn't in perfect agreement with that because I really love playing as Ludwig von Koopa, so personally I was fine with it. But there was a good amount of backlash in the community that might gear Nintendo towards not including them in the next game. But who knows? They could make a Smash Ultimate-like game for Mario Kart and just say fuck it and include all the characters that have ever been in Mario Kart games. If that happens, this video would become irrelevant. However, it would be very interesting to see all the characters that we've known growing up finally come back into one grand racing finale, until Nintendo releases another dogshit racing game. Okay, that's the video. I'll see you next time.